At Mediacorp, the creative and the corporate both are equally vital to who we are as a national media network. For me, the starting point is to recognize that while people may work in very different domains, from content production to finance, from digital innovation to sales, everyone is ultimately driven by the same purpose: to create, connect, and inspire. That shared purpose is the cultural glue that holds us together. So when it comes to people strategy, we design it around flexibility and inclusion. We recognize that creative talent thrives on freedom, experimentation, and expressions, while corporate teams value structure, clarity, and process. So rather than imposing a one-size-fits-all model, we focus on creating frameworks that allows for flexibility within a common set of values.
Welcome to the HR Impact Show, where we have honest conversations with global HR leaders about building great workplaces all around the world. I'm your host, Dorothy Yu, CEO and co-founder of Engage Rocket. Engage Rocket is a global HR technology and advisory company that helps organizations collect and analyze employee feedback from hire to retire. Today, we're joined by Lilian Tan. She's the CHRO of Mediacorp, Singapore's largest media network. She's an award-winning HR leader, and we're excited to dive into her journey and to understand how she drives change through times of transformation. Welcome to the show, Lilian. Very happy to have you here with us. Of course, our paths have crossed a couple of times. Besides the fact that Mediacorp is a valued client, this is also the second time I'm interviewing you. I think the last time I interviewed you was a couple of years ago for our HR Outlook report, and I truly enjoyed that conversation. So I'm sure this will be a fabulous one as well. For our listeners who may not be as familiar with you, tell us more about your journey.
For those who don't know me, I'm Lian Tan, currently the Chief Human Resources Officer at Mediacorp. My journey into HR wasn't a straight path. I actually graduated with a finance degree, beginning my career as a financial analyst. Very early on, I realized that I could work with numbers, but I didn't want to spend my entire career doing just that. What truly inspired me was understanding people, resolving their challenges, building teams, and helping others grow. That turning point came when I joined KPMG Consulting, where the firm gave me the opportunity to switch into human capital consulting. That was when I discovered my true passion, shaping organizations through people. And from that moment, I knew HR was where I wanted to make a real impact. One of the most defining chapters of my career intersects, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. The aviation and the food services sectors were among the hardest hit, and we faced the very real possibility of having to retrench thousands of employees. Instead of accepting that outcome, I persuaded the board and the senior leadership team to allow me to try something different, and that was to invest in our people rather than letting them go. I always remember this quote that I loved during that period of time. It is a quote by Vivian Green. She said that life is not just about waiting for the storm to pass, but learning to dance in the rain. So that really resonated with me during that moment. And I told myself that while I've always had this dream of transforming the HR department into a profit center, and I thought that would be that moment. We can always leverage on a crisis and turn it into an opportunity. So it was during that period where COVID hit our shore. I did launch a SETS Academy with a government support. So I brought in profits, turning the HR departments into a profit center where we support these 4,000 workers who were supposed to be retrenched. With the profits that we brought in, we actually paid for their wages. So during those days, if you had the opportunity to come into the airport, you will be wondering why, where there's no flights, no passengers at the airport, there were many moving vehicles at the tarmac area. And that was because we had transformed the tarmac area into our training center where our workers were learning to drive the different vehicles. So we basically did a lot of multi-skilling during that time. And with the support of Changi Airport Group, they allow us to use their gatehole room where we conducted training to the workers, multi-skilling them and retraining them. So that was those moments.
I love that, right? It's not storm, but dancing in the rain. And that's a very concrete example from your experience. In a crisis, you can actually turn things around, actually make it a profit center for the organization. Were there other outcomes that you also saw through that initiative that you initiated at SATS?
Yeah, first of all, for me, that was truly a dream fulfilled. As a finance and accountancy graduate, I always believed that HR is not just a call center. When done right, HR can be a strategic driver of business value, innovation, and resilience. So the results were deeply rewarding. Our employee engagement score climbed to 81% in 2020, right in the middle of the crisis. And our people remain motivated and committed. And these efforts were later recognized with 9 awards at the Singapore HR Awards in 2021, celebrating our human capital transformation and workforce agility.
Amazing. We just launched our Workplace of the Future report, and one of the key patterns that organizations need to work towards is experiential connection, right? And I believe these kind of connection that they have built, instead of retrenching me, you give me an opportunity to contribute, will stay with employees for a really long time. So you mentioned your experience in SETS, you mentioned your experience in consulting. I believe you were also in real estate with CDL and then now with MediaCorp. A lot of Singapore darlings and varied industries as well. But across all these different industries, was there anything that stayed constant for you?
That's a lovely way to put it, Dorothy. I've been truly very fortunate to work across such iconic Singapore brands, each with a strong sense of purpose. If I had to distill one value or mindset that stayed constant through all the transition, from consulting to real estate, aviation, food, technology, telecommunications, and now media, it would be people first and purpose always.
Purpose is the new profit, something that I've just learned last Friday. So, alongside your corporate roles, you also play many other roles outside. For example, you've also been a founder, you're a board advisor, you're also a tripartite mediation advisor. So, across all these different experiences, how has that shaped you in your leadership journey?
That's a great question. And I would say those different experiences outside the corporate world have really shaped how I lead, especially during times of transformation. When you've been a founder, you develop a strong sense of ownership, resourcefulness. And as an owner or a founder, you learn to connect every decision back to purpose and outcomes. And outcomes would be revenues, profits, where you can support people who work hard for you. You can't hide behind processes. You have to act fast, think creatively, and stay close to your people. That mindset has stayed with me through my corporate journey. I try to lead like an owner and not just a function head. It's only when you own the job, right, where you feel that you are an owner, maybe not a business that you own working in a corporate world for an organization. If you feel that you are an owner, then your mindset and the way you carry yourself will be very different. Serving as a board advisor has given me a different lens. It's about stepping back from the day to day and looking at the bigger picture, the long-term sustainability of both people and the businesses. And it has taught me to balance empathy with enterprise, to make people decisions that are both compassionate and commercially sound. So that would be the role of a board of director for me. And my role as a tripartite mediation advisor has been humbling. It reminds me that at the end of the day, every business challenge has a human dimension. When we manage transformation, whether restructuring, job redesign, or reskilling, it's not just a strategy exercise. It is about fairness, trust, and dignity at work. The one board level question I often ask myself as a CHRO is this: are we building an organization that will still be relevant and trusted 5 years from now? That questions keep me focused not just on immediate KPIs, but on culture, leadership, and capability. The things that truly sustain a company through disruption. It pushes me and my team to think beyond today, to anticipate what our people and our business will need next.
Such an important question to ask, isn't it? To always make sure you don't lose sight of the big picture and to keep your vision forward, because it's so easy for us to get trapped into just thinking about the immediate priorities, especially through a crisis situation. But to always keep your eyes forward in the next 5 years, will this be what we need? Is a great question to ask. I want to double click onto the culture within MediaCorp. Obviously, there's a complexity within MediaCorp itself. There are many different roles. Singapore's largest media company, there's obviously the creatives, right? The artists, many creative people, but there's also the corporate teams. So, Lilian, tell us more about how do you shape people's strategy that can speak to both groups of people while also unifying the culture?
At MediaCorp, the creative and the corporate both are equally vital to who we are as a national media network. For me, the starting point is to recognize that while people may work in very different domains, from content production to finance, from digital innovation to sales, everyone is ultimately driven by the same purpose: to create, connect, and inspire. So what do I mean by that? We basically create content and we connect and inspire our audiences in Singapore every day. That shared purpose is the cultural glue that hold us together. So when it comes to people strategy, we design it around flexibility and inclusion. We recognize that creative talent thrives on freedom, experimentation, and expressions, while corporate teams value structure, clarity, and process. So rather than imposing a one-size-fits-all model, we focus on creating frameworks that allows for flexibility within a common set of values. That's why we are driven by this purpose, which is to create, connect, and inspire our audience.
I love that in just our first 10 minutes of conversation, you've always anchored it back to purpose of the organization being such an important role, and as well as values, 100% resonate with it. Now, you've also described that remote and hybrid work has been one of the most transformational forces in the workplace. So tell us more about the ways of work is being done within MediaCorp now, especially against a backdrop where many organizations are trying to revert back to, I guess, less flexibility. And how have you used flexibility as a benefit or maybe even a long-term strategy for MediaCorp?
I've always believed that flexibility is no longer just a benefit, it's a business strategy. The pandemic accelerated remote and hybrid work, right? We all know. But the real transformation is how it is shaping our understanding of performance, engagement, and trust. At MediaCorp, flexibility isn't about where you work, it's about how you deliver value. We focus on outcomes, not optics. Whether you're a producer working on a drama shoot, a journalist in the newsroom, or part of a corporate team, what matters most is the impact of your work, and not the number of hours spent at your desk. We've moved towards what I call a trust-based culture, one where leaders are empowered to make decisions for their teams, and employees are trusted to manage their time and energy responsibly. At the same time, flexibility is also about support and connection. We've built structures around well-being, communication, and learning to keep people engaged and connected, because flexibility without connection can quickly become isolation, right? So for us, flexibility isn't just about convenience, it's a strategic enabler of performance, inclusion, and engagement. It allows us to tap into a wider range of talent, support diverse life stages, and ultimately build a more resilient and future-ready workforce. So the way I see it, flexibility is not the future of work. It's the foundation of how we work today.
There's one word that you talked about, connection, right? Connection is the foundation of also another word that you brought up, trust. How do you build connection at scale? MediaCorp has thousands of employees, and I'm privileged to also know that MediaCorp has a lot of many different communication channels. So tell us more about what are some of the approaches that you have put in place to build connection at scale, and maybe give our audience a tip on which one has worked best for you.
That's a great question, because real connection at scale is one of the hardest things to get right. and especially in a company as diverse as Mediacorp. We have journalists, producers, engineers, marketers, and people who think and work in very different ways. And what I've learned is that connection doesn't come from polished messaging. It comes from authenticity and access. People want to hear directly from leaders, not in a scripted way, but in an honest, two-way dialogue. Our hybrid town halls, which is Mediacorp Unfiltered, have worked surprisingly well. We used to think connection could only happen in person, but we've learned that virtual and in-person formats can complement each other. While we encourage everyone to attend town hall to connect with each other in person, we also offer a virtual option for those who are unable to physically attend town hall due to work. This has allowed more people across functions and sites the chance to participate in these town halls. As for what we have retired, I would say some of the more traditional one-way communication channels. The days of long PowerPoint briefings and corporate updates with little dialogue are over. People don't want to be spoken to. They want to be heard, involved, and inspired. So ultimately, what connects people isn't the platform. It is the human tone behind it. So when leaders show vulnerability, listen sincerely, and act on feedback, that's when culture becomes real and not just words on a wall.
I guess then there's no surprise to reveal this statistic from your recent engagement survey that 8 out of 10 employees within Mediacorp are proud to work for the organization. I think that's an amazing achievement. And it's also honestly above benchmarks from what we have seen. What do you think moved the needle? Based on everything I've heard, I'm not surprised, but anything else that you think moved the needle for Mediacorp to achieve this outcome? And what advice you have to give for any HR leaders that's listening to this podcast that wants to build that kind of pride within the organization?
That result was really encouraging for us. When 8 in 10 employees say that they are proud to be part of Mediacorp, it shows that people feel connected to something bigger than themselves. I think what's moved the needle is our clarity of purpose and the way we live it every day. Whether you're a journalist, a producer, an engineer, everyone can see how their work touches audiences and shapes Singapore's story. That creates real meaning. If I had one piece of advice for HR leaders, it would be this. You can't manufacture pride. It comes from authenticity, purpose, and people seeing their impact. When that happens, engagement takes care of itself.
That drives performance and retention as well. Okay, I'm going to turn the lens forward to look into the future. The media industry obviously has been disrupted over the years with many new platforms. The audience tastes, preferences may have changed. So what are some of the trends within the media industry specifically that's top of mind for you? And how are you preparing the workforce for it?
The media industry is evolving rapidly, as you have rightly put it. And as a CHRO, the top 3 trends that are top of mind for me would be digital convergence, AI, and workforce adaptability. Audiences now move fluidly across platforms. So we're helping our people to do the same, building cross-platform skills and digital fluency so teams can create and collaborate seamlessly across TV, digital, and social. The second big shift is AI and data-driven storytelling. We are upskilling our teams to use technology responsibly and creatively, blending human intuition with data to make content more engaging and relevant. And finally, adaptability and purpose. Today's workforce want meaning and growth, not just a job. So we're investing in continuous learning, leadership development, and career mobility, giving people the skills and confidence to thrive as the industry transforms. At the heart of it, preparing our workforce is about helping them embrace with curiosity and courage. That's how we'll stay ahead.
I also want to ask you about Mediacorp's involvement in Career Forward. So that's a major national platform to help people navigate career transitions. What impact does Mediacorp aim to achieve through this platform?
Career Forward is something I am personally very proud of because it reflects what Mediacorp stands for as both an employer and a national media network. The idea began with a simple belief that career development should not be confined within company walls. In a world that is constantly changing, people need access to guidance, stories, and learning that help them grow wherever they are in their journey. We saw an opportunity to use our reach and storytelling strength to make career conversations more open and relatable. By partnering with government agencies, employers, and experts, Career Forward became a national platform that brings together resources, workshops, and inspiring stories of career transitions. Our involvement goes beyond content. Okay, we want to shape mindsets about lifelong learning and resilience to show that career pivots are not setbacks but growth opportunities. The impact we hope to create is both practical and emotional. We want people to feel supported, confident about navigating change, and to see that learning and reinvention can happen at any age and stage. At the end of the day, Career Forward is about empowering Singaporeans to take ownership of their own career journeys, and we are honored to play a part in that transformation.
That makes so much sense. MediaCorp will tap into your reach as well as your storytelling strength because storytelling makes people believe. And when they believe, it turns into action, and action then can turn into a reality for them. It's great to hear that MediaCorp is actually very involved in this. I'm going to ask you a question that we ask all of our podcast guests, which is when you think about the ideal workplace of the future, what does it look like to you?
The ideal workplace of the future is one that is human, flexible, and purpose driven. It is a place where people feel trusted to do their best work, supported to keep learning, and connected to a shared sense of purpose. To get there, organizations need to focus on three things. First, build a culture of trust where flexibility is seen as a driver of performance. Second, invest in continuous learning so employees can adapt as roles evolve. And third, lead with empathy and authenticity because technology may shape the future of work, but it is people who will define it.
Yes, absolutely. Trust and psychological safety are no longer soft topics, right? They are actual infrastructure, just as important as system and processes to help us drive change. If you were to offer HR leaders any advice to shaping this workplace of the future, what would it be?
I would say focus on building trust. When people feel trusted, they bring their best ideas, energy, and creativity to work. Technology and strategy will keep evolving, but trust is what truly shapes a resilient and forward-looking work.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so now I'm going to move to a fun part of our podcast as we are ending. I'm going to ask you a couple of rapid fire questions, Lilian. So, very first one, what's one misconception about HR that you still find yourself correcting?
That HR is just about policies. In reality, HR is about shaping culture, enabling performance, and driving business strategy.
And in your experience in sets, maybe even creating profits for the organization. What's the most overrated HR buzzword right now?
Probably future ready. It is important, but it has become a catchphrase. What truly matters is how we help people learn, adapt, and stay relevant in real, practical ways every day.
What is, for you personally, one non negotiable that will help you do your best work?
I would say empowerment. Empowerment is a non negotiable for me. When people are trusted and given the freedom to make decisions, they take ownership and bring their full potential to the table. Empowerment creates accountability, innovation, and confidence. It turns good teams into great ones.
Yeah, people always forget that they expect the leaders to empower everybody else, but leaders themselves also needs to be empowered. Final question. What's one book or podcast that you will recommend to leaders listening to this podcast?
I would recommend Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. It is a powerful reminder that courage, vulnerability, and empathy are the heart of strong leadership. It helps leaders understand that creating trust and connection is not a soft skill. It is a strategic advantage in driving performance and culture.
I'm actually not surprised that you quoted Brene Brown because she was also very influential for me. And she's the one who taught me that every human being is hardwired for connection. And that's the foundation to so many things that we spoke about. This has been an absolute joy speaking to you once again, Lilian. Hopefully more to come. Thank you so much for joining the HR Impact Show.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be in this podcast.
To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to our HR Impact Show. If you have enjoyed the conversation, please like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcasts. You can also subscribe to our community at engagerocket.co/HR Impact. I'll see you in the next episode.